This episode of Nos Arietes is sponsored by Full Pull Wines, a Seattle-based wine retailer and proud sponsor of Nos Arietes since 2011. Full Pull was founded in 2009, is based in Seattle, and is owned and operated by longtime Sounders supporters. They offer the best boutique wines of the world to members of their mailing list, with special focus on their home, the Pacific Northwest.
Hey, this is Christian Roldan.
And Jordan Morris from the Seattle Sounders Football Club.
And you're listening to
This is Nos Arietes.
Here we go. Come on! Hey, O'Shan! Let's go!
Save by Fry! The Seattle Sounders have done it! MLS Cup winners!
Here comes Rangers through the middle to crown it for Seattle! And now they truly can start the celebrations. It's the Sounders MLS Cup.
Nico Ladero leaves absolutely no doubt! The Sounders rule the region!
Seattle Sounders is good.
Seattle Sounders, the greatest MLS team in history.
They've scored! They've scored! Finally!
This feels fucking awesome.
This is a tiny dog.
Is that what you young people call twerking?
And Portland can't say it's cheap.
You want to win? Let's see on a Sunday, bro.
Good for Seattle!
Welcome back to another episode of Nos Arietes. I am Jeremiah O'Shan. Joining me today to preview Saturday's game against Charlotte FC is Jorge Gonzalez of Top Bin 90. Welcome to the show, Jorge.
Excited to be on here, Jeremiah. How are you?
I'm doing good. So we have a pretty good matchup here. This is the Sounders' first visit to Charlotte, although they did play last year. It's funny how they do these balancing act of East versus West. The Sounders hadn't played New York Red Bulls in 3 years, and now they're playing Charlotte FC back-to-back years. I don't quite understand the way that works. But happy to be seeing you again.
Yeah, I'm excited to be on. Last time that we were on here, it was right before that Seattle game, and after that game, our coach got fired. So
Yeah, that's right. This is the first time we're facing you guys with the new coach. I had forgotten that was the last game of your old coach.
Correct. That was the last Miguel game for us.
Yeah. So how have things changed, broadly speaking? This was a coach who was hired. I don't know if he was hired to be temporary, but he did enough to get the job permanently.
With Latanzio, yes. Christian Latanzio last year was just going to be an interim, but I think a couple of key things played into the factor of having him become the full-time coach is one, there was a period, I want to say the last 5 games, where we gave a playoff push and we were right there. We quite didn't make it, but the team played well. You saw an intensity into the team. Players that we weren't expecting to score goals the way they were, like Daniel Rios scored, right? So I think that is one thing. And the other thing is just the relationships he has with people in the locker room, right? I think that's very, very important. He's been able to develop certain players and has a good strength when it comes to player-coach relationships.
And so what is the system that it seems like he's brought in a very specific system along with everything else. How would you describe the way that Charlotte's playing these days?
So I think the way Charlotte wants to play is this versus how we're actually executing, right?
Fair enough.
Right. We'll traditionally see a 4-3-3 and more possession based with high intensity, right? So if you look at some of the signings, for example, Enzo Copetti is a guy that has a work ethic, right? On and off the ball. That's the typical type of player that Latanzio wants, right? A lot of intensity, a lot of work ethic, and wants his teams to hold possession.
And so, speaking of Copetti, what is the availability right now? It looks like he's potentially listed as questionable, and then Jozwiak is listed as out, right?
Yeah, I think 100% we won't see Kamil Jozwiak. With Copetti, I would say it's 75% that he's out, right? From what I saw, I went to the training session and it looks like they're integrating both of them back in. I feel like Copetti is closer than Camille, but from the press conference that Latanzio gave us yesterday, he wasn't too optimistic of having either. But knowing Latanzio, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Copetti at least on the bench.
And I guess how does that change things if Capetti isn't available?
What happened is, so traditionally one of the things that Latanzio did really well last year was switch Karol Swiderski, our other DP, from that 9 to more of a 10 creative role, kind of second striker right behind the 9. And so what will happen is if we don't see Swiderski, if we don't see Copetti at the 9, Camille will get pushed up to that 9 role.
And so, how has Swiderski been? He's it seems like he's the star man essentially for Charlotte.
Yeah, he is the star man. I think at the beginning of last year, he started off well, scoring. Then through the middle of the season, he kind of had that adjustment period and ended the season very well. It's been something similar this year where he's been more consistent. I think when Charlotte are playing really, really well, it's because Swiderski is pulling the strings, right? I mean, he's creative. He's the most technical player that we have on the pitch. And I think he's our most important player now is him.
And so more broadly speaking, this is a team who has been a bit suspect in the back defensively. How would you describe the defensive struggles and where are those coming from? Or is it just a back line that's bad? Is it a midfield that can't hold to the ball?
It's a little bit of everything, right? I think one is the style that we play versus the personnel that Charlotte has, right? If you ever see us, right, when we hold possession, our fullbacks tend to be higher. So a lot of times we are struggling when it comes to transition, right? Like a lot of our center backs have to be good in 1v1 situations, and they haven't been. As you know, Anton Walks passed away, which was a very, very huge blow to this team. They were able to bring Tuloma in from Portland, but he just hasn't been the player we thought he was going to be. So I think that is the personnel versus the style that we want to play, and just Charlotte making very, very terrible mistakes, own goals, passes to forwards. Like it's stuff that like you really can't blame Latanzio for our center backs passing to the striker and them scoring, right?
Right. That wasn't in the plan.
Yeah. So it's been a factor of those two things mainly.
And so this is going to be like I said, this is the Sounders' first visit to Charlotte. When Charlotte came into the league, I want to say that it was, there was definitely talk of this could be another Seattle or this could be another Atlanta in terms of, sure, they're playing in a football stadium, but they're going to have big crowds, big energy. There's a lot of demand here. And true to form, they have drawn really well. What is the atmosphere like at Charlotte games? And what can we expect that to be on Saturday?
I think I'm trying not to be biased, but I do definitely think it's one of the best atmospheres in MLS, right? In terms of we're averaging over 30,000 fans the second season as well, which is great, right? That first match of the season, it was close to 70,000 people, right? So there is a huge buzz for the Charlotte fan base. And what I really like too is when we were down 3-0 against Atlanta at halftime at home, the crowd booed the players and booed, the performance. And you know what? Yeah, it sucks that we're losing, but I'm like, this shows that these people care about the product, that they care, that they're demanding their team to be better, right? So I think we've seen that. I've been pleasantly surprised with, I wasn't expecting it to be this much of a culture, but it is. When Charlotte are playing well and when the bank is behind them, it becomes a very, very tough place to play at. Ask Nashville last year when they lost 4-1 here. Philadelphia came here and lost 4-0 as well. So, I mean, when everything is in sync, it becomes a very, very difficult place to play at.
And how, like, are we expecting a normal size crowd, or is this going to be like I assume they mainly don't open the upper.
Yeah, they don't open
seats, right?
the upper. They do it for special occasions. I think we'll see over 30,000, but it'll be kind of that main average between 30 to 33, I would guess.
Yeah, it's always a trip because the Sounders get used to playing in front of crowds that are that big, but they don't almost ever get to do it on the road. Obviously, when they go to Atlanta, they've been to Atlanta a couple times, and so they've seen it there. But outside of that, I don't know how many times they've played in front of 30,000 or as visitors played in front of crowds that big. So it's always interesting to me to see how they react to that kind of atmosphere, because they oftentimes talk about how when teams come here, they're able to sort of rise to the level because it's like a new thing for them. And it'll be exciting to see this. I'm looking forward to the game. I kind of love some of the like, for lack of a better term, like the silly stuff that goes along with it, right? Like you guys do this. What is this thing you do at the end of the game where they sit on a throne? Is that still a thing you guys are doing?
Yeah. So if we play well, man of the match, obviously when we don't lose, right?
Right.
Someone gets a coronation. So one of our players gets coronated, right? And also a tradition that we started as well is like right before the game starts, they play Pepas and they do the Poznan. So you see all the fans jumping up and down. So like it's a very hype atmosphere, right? So one thing that you'll see is whether the product on the pitch is good or bad, the fans are always having a good time. So
Anything else people should know going down to Charlotte if they're making the trip? Is there a spot they need to hit up or anything they need to know about Charlotte fans?
yeah, we definitely have a tailgate, right? So it's on 703 McNinch Street. So right before the matches, all the supporters groups are there, and they're very welcoming. Like you won't see like, oh, okay, like you have another team shirt, get out of here. One of the supporters actually they have like a list of things like for away supporters, like here's some of the things that are some of the activities that you may want to do while you're in Charlotte as well.
Oh, really?
So we're that Southern hospitality is
no
very
kidding.
real here, right? So I'd say that. And the other thing I would say is in stadium, watch out for the beer showers. If you're near the supporter section and we score, more likely than not, you will get soaked.
That is awesome. I'm happy to hear that. It has been a neat thing. When most people started getting into MLS, there was a long time where there was just no Southern presence, and then for a while it was okay. We got a team in Orlando, but that doesn't really feel like the South to I think a lot of people. And now we have like this real Southern contingent of fans, whether it's Atlanta, Nashville, Charlotte, and multiple teams now in Florida. It's pretty exciting to see. And one of the first things, my first experiences with your guys' site was a video that you guys were doing where you were like kind of bringing in NASCAR culture and all this kind of other stuff. And I thought that was great. Like, I just think it makes the league so much more interesting when we have teams from the South, from all, representing different parts of this country, and you get different flavors.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty too of MLS, man. It's the United States is so massive that like
right.
Go to a certain area and it's like something totally different that you're not expecting.
Right. And it's unfortunate. Who knows the next time Seattle's going to be in Charlotte, based on, how,
right.
Because the division or the conferences are becoming so big that it's like you can't really you're not going to do this every other year. Yeah. So it's an experience that I hope people relish and get to enjoy.
Yeah. I love when we say like, oh, we have a close match this week only in Atlanta 4 hours away, or
right,
DC 6. I was like, only in MLS will you say driving 4 to 6 hours is a close match.
Oh yeah, trust me, I know, we know all about that up here. It's we have Vancouver, which is 2.5 hours, and we have Portland, which is 2.5 hours, and other than that there's almost no one that's even really within realistic driving distance. So it is a wild league in that way. But Jorge, thank you so much for doing this. Where can people read you? Where can they follow you?
They can follow us on all our socials at TopBin90. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and then our website, topbin90.com. We have articles coming out at least twice a week. We preview our opponent of the week that Charlotte plays every Monday, and then we typically drop a player article or something very specific on Thursday. So we've got all our platforms have a little different flavor too, which I love, but TopBin90 everywhere.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing this. I am Jeremiah Shan, signing off for Nos Audietes, and we'll catch you next time.
We love you. Let's win another one!